Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at dividing fractions, not decimals. Alright, so just as a reminder, a number and its reciprocal have a product of 1. In order to do this, we exchange the numerator and the denominator, or flip the fraction over. And lastly, remember that an integer can be written as a fraction of the denominator of 1. So just some different examples to look for. If 3/4 is our original fraction, 4/3 would be its reciprocal, and if you multiply those, 3 times 4 would be 12, 4 times 3 would be 12, which essentially becomes 1. Same thing here, if we have 5/12, even though it's a negative, it still just gets flipped over. You multiply them, you get 1. 6, its reciprocal is 1/6 because it would really be 6/1. Another thing to note is that multiplication and division are what are called inverse operations. So essentially they undo one another. For example, if I have 1/3 times 2/5, multiply straight across, we get 2/15. And then if you look, 2/15 divided by 2/5 gives us 1/3. The other thing that you want to remember is that multiplying by the reciprocal is the same as dividing. And this is helpful when we're looking at fractions. So 2/5 times 5/2 is equal to 2 times 5/15/2, which would give us 10/30, but that would reduce to 1/3. So just to divide by a fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. 1/7 divided by 4/5. The 1/7 is going to stay the same. You're going to flip over the 4/5, making it 5/4, which gives you a final answer of 5/28. Now let's see what this looks like in actual problems. We're going to go ahead and divide, and we're going to write the answer in simplest form. Let's start with something fairly simple, just two straight fractions. We have 5/11 divided by 1/2. Well, we're going to keep 5/11 as 5/11, but our number that we're dividing by, in this case 1/2, is going to become its reciprocal, or 2/1, and instead of division, we're going to multiply. Since we can't reduce anything, it just becomes 5 times 2 is 10, 11 times 1 is 11, so our final answer is 10/11. If we do this with a mixed number, remember first thing we have to do is change the mixed number into an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19, so we have 19/8 divided by 2, which becomes 19/8 times, well 2 is really 2/1, so it becomes 1/2. So this becomes 19/16, which would be 1 3/16 in simplest form. Now it's your turn. Why don't you take a look at both of these problems, pause the video, and try them out for yourself. Okay, so here we have 7/15. We're going to flip over 3/4 and make it 4/3. Going to multiply, nothing we can reduce. 7 times 4 is 28. 15 times 3 is 45. Since 28 is just 4 times 7 and 45 is 5 times 9, no common factors. So 28/45 is our final answer. Here we have 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. 22/5. 3 is really 3/1, so we're going to multiply this by 1/3. Once again, can't reduce anything, so this becomes 22, because it's 22 times 1. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 goes into 22 one time with 7 left over. Even when we start applying rules of algebra, it's still going to be treated the same way. So we want to evaluate an expression for the given value of the variable. Here we have k divided by 4/5 for k equals 5. So I'm going to put in 5, which is really 5/1. My 4/5 has become 5/4. I'm going to go ahead and multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 goes into 25 6 times with 1 left over. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try it for the next one. Here we have 9 divided by 4/7, so it would be 9/1 times 7/4. 9 times 7 is 63. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 can go into 63 15 times with 3 left over. Now we're going to take a look at a problem-solving application. A cookie recipe calls for 1/2 cup of oats. You have 3/4 cups of oats. How many batches of cookies can you make baking all the oats that you have? So we want to take 3/4 and divide it into 1/2 cups. So if we have 3/4, because that's the total that we have, and we're dividing into 1/2 cup batches, we're going to end up multiplying by 2/1. 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 1 is 4. Here you could also reduce. 2 goes into both of these, would be 1 and 2. So essentially this gives us 3/2, which would become 1 1/2. So in this case we could make 1 1/2 batches. Now it's your turn, so why don't you try this example on your own. Pause the video and then check your work. A ship will use 1/6 of its total fuel load for a typical round trip. There is 5/8 of a total fuel load on board now. How many complete trips can be made? So we're going to take 5/8, we're going to divide it by 1/6 of the tank to figure out what we can get. So here we're going to have 5/8, 1/6 is going to change into 6/1. We're going to multiply. 8 and 6 share a common factor of 2. This becomes 4, 3. So we have 5 times 3 is 15. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 goes into 15 3 times, so 3 left over. So they can make 3 3/4 complete trips. If we're looking for complete trips though, then it would make more sense that we would just say 3 complete trips, because a complete 3/4 would not be a complete trip.